everybody. This is Mrs. Babin, and welcome to another episode of Right On Bellwork. Today, we're going to look at conventions, and this is the fourth of the criteria that we're looking at that is from the basic elements of writing. So, first, before we start to think about what conventions are and how important they are, I want to point out how amazing your brain is. So, very first thing I'd like you to do is look at your neighbor, smile, go ahead, smile, and tell them, "Boy, you have a nice brain." That's right. That's a wonderful picture there of your brain. And I want us to look at, just a little warm up, the passage that's right below that brain. Go ahead and read it. I hope you agree that your brain is incredible. Isn't that outrageous? You can actually read this passage without the letters being in order. So some of you are going to say, "See, Mrs. Babin, I told you spelling isn't important." Well, I would beg to differ. But first, let's think about what conventions are, just to make sure that we're crystal clear on the fact. So, when you hear us say, "Oh, you got to focus on your conventions," what we're talking about is punctuation, capitalization, spelling, and sentence structure. So, it's all those grammar things that really play a part of your writing. So, again, some of you are probably saying, "Oh, that's not important, Mrs. Babin. It really doesn't count that much on the FCAT writes, and it's really not that important when I write anyway, because you can figure it out." Well, let me show you a little example. Now, I'm going to use Wonder Woman as our topic. Wonder Woman happens to be one of my most favorite heroes, and when I was in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I used to read a lot of Wonder Woman comics. My brother used to get packages of comics, and of course, he didn't want the Wonder Woman comics, so he used to give them to my sister and I. So I got to learn a lot about Wonder Woman. So, the topic, if I were thinking about it, might be, why is Wonder Woman your favorite superhero? So, I wrote a paragraph, but I want to show you something. Here is that paragraph, and I don't have any punctuation, any capitalization, and I have tons of spelling errors. Go ahead and see if you can read it. It's not so easy, is it? Well, let's take it a step further. What happens if we add the capitals and the punctuation to it? Let's look at this same paragraph. Haven't changed anything. I've just added the punctuation and the capitals. Is it any easier to read? Yeah, it's a lot easier to read, isn't it? And even though we have tons of spelling errors, you're still getting a lot better picture of what it is I'm trying to say. Take a look at this one. This has none of the punctuation, capitalization, or spelling errors that we saw in the first two. Is it easier for you to read? Oh, of course it is. And here's what it says. First of all, Wonder Woman is one of my favorite comic book heroes because of her inspiring place in history. In the comic book series, she is an Amazonian princess who rescues a man named Steve Trevor. Steve is a soldier whose plane crash lands in the Amazon while fighting the Nazis during World War II. Wonder Woman pulls his mangled body from the plane wreckage and nurses him to health, and then she travels to the United States to return him to man's world. When she gets to man's world, she sees that it is full of injustice and hatred. So, with her superpowers, she begins fighting against injustice. At a time when women's roles were changing as they moved out of their kitchens and into the workforce, it is not surprising that Wonder Woman would inspire girls to be heroes in the world. The boys had the rest of the Justice League, but the girls have Wonder Woman, who is stronger than Hercules, faster than Mercury, and more beautiful than Aphrodite. Go Wonder Woman. So, I just wanted to make this point to you today that spelling, punctuation, capitalization, they are important. They help you get your message across, and they help you do it in an awesome and polished way. I hope you enjoyed today's bell work. And so for our reflection, we would like you to think about how can misspelled words, incorrect punctuation, and incorrect grammar hurt the message of your writing? And what are your strengths in writing conventions? And what are some areas you want to improve? Thanks a lot for joining us today, and I hope you'll have another amazing day at Dow Dell. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you around campus.